Whew, we're recording, so
Oh,
we
okay.
can
Good.
start. All that's we can use any of that if you want or scrap it.
Cool.
Oh, hey, Mr. Cockroach.
Oh.
So
And mosquitoes flying around here.
so speaking of, what's your stance on bugs? Because most people would want to kill this.
I think you should go outside.
Okay.
I mean, it's so easy to kill them, but
Well, and they're harmless to you.
What if
When
he's-
was the last time you're like, oh, I got bit by a roach and I got infested with this?
where'd he go?
Yeah,
Like,
like
it doesn't
under the
happen.
couch.
He went real fast.
He heard us talking about him.
I think I'm gonna leave. But that's because we're about to kind of get into some spiritual and Zen stuff, so that was kind of a good omen, or
Yeah.
yeah,
know,
segue. So because most maybe Americans have that natural instinct. Oh, cockroach, let's kill it.
Spiders, definitely,
Yeah,
It's
What-
the fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
You know?
For sure. Yeah, we were finding at Inland Surf Park where I coach at, we were getting a lot of rattlesnakes. A lot. And a lot of baby rattlesnakes, even worse. So unfortunately, they were taking this stance of, killing them because they were coming like right by headquarters, like within a foot, of the door or something like that, or like where people are walking. But I was thinking about it as I was starting to get really freaked out of bringing the girls, or just like, oh my gosh, there's so many we're seeing, let alone all the snakes we're not seeing. This is not cool. And I was starting to like panic about how we should take care of them. And then I realized, if we had that many dogs on the property that we could see and not see, there'd definitely be dog bites. Absolutely. Like, even if it was all full of golden labs, like at some point, even the nicest dog is going to bite somebody for something.
Jen got bit here.
Exactly, yeah. Right in the face. By a little tiny dog. And,
It's true, though.
it's true.
Right in the face.
It's real over here, man.
Yeah. Hardcore.
And especially, me. But anyway, no one ever has been bit by a snake at Inland. And I realized that they just want to be out of the way. They don't want to be touched. Like, they're just trying to do their thing and eat the rats and the mice that we don't want to see. So all the panic went away as soon as I accepted that maybe that's a good thing. It was just purely fear driving me. So it's like, okay, next time I see a snake, hopefully I don't. But if I do,
Yeah.
so thank you from a distance.
Yeah.
Do your work. I'm gonna leave you alone, and I'm gonna try to make sure you don't get killed. And
And it's like they were always there anyways.
exactly,
You
exactly.
wipe out a space to put what you think belongs there, and it's like you forget you're on planet Earth no matter where you are.
But isn't
Yeah.
that such an American thing to do, though? We
Oh,
wipe
yeah.
out the
Totally.
space and put our
And
stuff.
then put your shopping mall there,
Right.
in your apartment buildings and your suburbs, and
That's what we're built on.
Yeah. And then we were like, oh, I'm super depressed. Why? Like, oh, there's nothing, no roots left.
I coach at a gym, and there's ants get in there, and this kid was like, I'm killing the ants. I'm like, what you killing the ants for? What would they do to you? It's like, I hate them. They're in my space. I'm like, your space, huh? I'm like, what is this building on? It's on land, there's a foundation, and there's grass under it, and dirt and stuff like that. It's like, you're on their space, actually, so why don't you keep it cleaner so stop inviting them? Pick up after yourself, child. If you really don't want that kind of stuff.
Meanwhile, there's like Kit Kat bars half open.
That's a good
Take
point.
responsibility. Man.
They're running up on me.
Oh, that spoiled kid that just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
He's eating his Reese's and
Yeah.
Kit Kats. They're like, goddamn ants, I hate them.
He's
don't know
like
why.
the Pied Piper.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that's with just looks too, or conditioning. Because if it was a caterpillar coming, or like a butterfly, nobody wants to kill a butterfly. You think they would just come in here headed my way, be like, oh, look at that cute little butterfly.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Its colors and stuff.
But the cockroach is like, ew.
Yeah.
Just,
Which actually, if you look at it, really, it's a beautifully designed. It's like a perfect creature. It does its thing, and so
Can withstand anything.
we were listening to some podcasts, maybe
Aubrey Marcus, I think.
possibly talking to him, and they're he gets into entheogens and psychedelics, and going to different realms and stuff, and he was talking about communicating with different beings and stuff. I'm getting into it, but it was talking. Anyway, bottom line, he was talking about how insects are actually the perfect creature on here because they're perfect in their action. They're perfect in how they move and how they function. Animals too, mammals, things like that. But it isn't until we involve consciousness that we start to fuck things up, essentially, and we get together and it's like, this works better,
Yeah.
instead of observing what already is functioning more or less perfectly, whatever, and that's a relative term, but
Yeah.
It's
like
like-
a conversation.
Not until consciousness comes up to play is something good or bad.
Exactly, the value
Yeah.
judgments. The value
Interesting.
judgments that we place on everything, you know, and it's purely opinion and conditioning, like you were saying, like where you grow up, your surroundings, you know. I came across another piece of information that it was he was suggesting that, or giving the idea that if you think about it, if you imagine that you were born in a different environment, different parents, you know, other side of the world. He even said like another planet, but let's just keep it on Earth. Yeah. But you know, say you know, another part of the world or something, different parents that have different beliefs, you wouldn't think the way you think right now. You wouldn't believe the things that you believe at this very moment. So what's real or what's true, and it's all relative essentially, you know, and at any given point you can change your direction and change more or less who you are. You know. So far as the stars allow, you know.
Which is that dragonfly. Here a guy I work with, he's a firefighter. He said there's this giant dragonfly, like this big, like stuck to the screen of their door or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, a dragonfly." We all think like.
Wait, how big?
He said it was
Like
really
that
big.
dude?
No. He said it was a giant dragonfly. He said it was like huge. Like he said it was like his hand, and he has a big hand. So he said it was gigantic. This would make sense more with the story, but he walks up to it and he's like, "Oh my god, it's massive! It's a dragonfly. They're so mystical." And he grabs it, and the mandibles come around and bites him draws blood. And he's like, "Ah!"
Wow.
And this guy is a huge dude and can scream like a girl, and he's like running around with this thing stuck to his hand.
Oh my god.
So of course he was heckled for that forever. Like, what
Yeah.
the hell are you doing? Grabbing anything, you know? But
Yeah.
he just thought, well, everyone loves these dragonflies. So now when I'm working,
Bees. I've never seen that dragonfly.
true.
I mean,
but
dragon.
I wouldn't grab any, you know. But anyway, now as they're flying around me, I'm like, huh.
Is that
like,
thing?
Turns
is
out
that
they're
gonna-
killing machines.
yeah,
they
like-
can even eat like little
butterflies
animals.
and stuff. Yeah. Someone eating a butterfly.
Oof.
I need to watch out for dragonflies.
I
Keep
know.
my eye on dragonflies.
Changes that perspective.
Yeah. Not so
I always
beautiful
thought-
anymore.
Yeah, I thought they were just chill.
No,
That's
they're
what I
like
thought.
Yeah.
flying
And so she
death
came.
machines.
She was leaving the place, and she saw one just on the bottom, apparently just sucking the juices out of a butterfly.
Yeah, I was gonna pick up the butterfly, and I was like, whoa, there's a dragonfly on its back, on the ground. And I thought I was just gonna collect them both for the girls, thinking they're both dead. And he's just killing the butterfly, and then he flew away.
Yeah.
So,
Nature.
perspective,
Yeah, right.
nature,
That
maybe
reminds
we
me of
shouldn't kill things.
like a box of chocolates.
the Cheryl Capone story about like the turtle killing
Oh,
the frog,
God, the duck.
the
Yeah.
duck.
What?
Oh,
a
that-
Well,
turtle?
a lady, I forget the
That-
story. We had a lady on, and she's a doctor actually. I know she's an amazing person. Yeah,
Genetics researcher at Penn State.
Okay.
Nice.
yeah, and she told us some story. God, what was it? It's like a
She
Duck.
was at the pond in Pennsylvania on the campus, and she's like showing her son the ducks and turtles, and they looked to the side, and there was a turtle holding a duckling underwater. And,
Gotcha.
In her sense, drowning it.
Gotcha.
And don't know why.
Yeah, like yeah.
But-
Didn't she
Because they
make
want.
her
Why do you,
son
uh,
watch it or something?
Yeah, she'd
She's
and-
like, this is nature. Watch.
natural
what happens.
selection. Don't turn away, boy. Watch the
You watch this.
Meanwhile, I'd be like, no!
Stop it! It's a
Try to
very
pull its little beak off of it.
Yo, God, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a weird thing. 'Cause you don't necessarily think that animals are. That's the consciousness thing, right? That animals are vengeful or like everything has a purpose in that. But that was a weird.
And that we think we know everything about everything.
Yeah.
You know,
Wait, we don't.
right?
Yeah.
Oof.
Speaking of, I guess that's where I lead in of how I help people.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Speaking of drowning,
Yeah. Speaking of
Oh no.
drowning in
animals.
your own mess. Yeah, I think probably explains what I do is I help people figure out their shit so they are not drowning anymore. That's probably. Can I say that?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, we've got the E on it.
Yeah.
We got the explicit title on it.
Okay, perfect.
They know what this is.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Then yeah, that's the best way I can explain it. And I can say when I was younger and once in a while, very little. I don't do it often because I'm so wonderful. If someone pisses me off when I was younger, of course, I'd be like, oh, like I would like go right into their soul because it was just like that. I was able to see people really well, and so then I would just lash out and definitely hurt people. It wasn't often, but it was like my defense mechanism. And in time, I learned how to honor people, and I always wanted to help. And so then now I have finally pulled back, and when people want help, then it's like the flip side of like here. Now
Okay.
it's all gone in like such a nice, loving, fun way where it's like, you really want me to look? Okay, cool. And now you're asking for it. This is exactly what I've always wanted since I was little, and this is what I see.
And I'd say you got to that point to where you can actually turn from hurting people, you will no, no.
It was only when I was like felt defensive.
Well, it's you only get to that point when you do your own work.
Yeah.
And you're constantly doing your own work, so it's not like she's sitting here or we're sitting here and we're perfect. Like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. It's a daily thing. We're just aware of it and conscious of it. We're aware of it, and we made a point to address ourselves first, address each other, address the family, and then branch out from there. And so in recognizing your own patterns, you can more readily see other people's patterns. And I talked about that a bit with in the what's it called, the workshop clinic thing, when I was suggesting on how to see people's issues. Like when I was saying, you're not going to know everything that I just said right away. You're not going to remember it all, but the way you can benefit and help somebody else fix their technique is by recognizing your own patterns first. And I think that's what she's done a tremendous job with, at least since I've known her. How long have we known each other? 9 years?
9 years. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify that. It's like you didn't just start helping people,
No.
It was a personal thing, and then you recognize that other people go through the same stuff. We're all in the same boat, again, on the same planet, even same society,
Yeah. It's definitely, like, I would want to, for a long time, I would see things and I'd want to, like, kind of shove it in people's faces, like, here, take this, I see this, stop being a dick,
Fix
and
it.
like, and like, do this. But obviously, just like any of us, like, we have to allow someone in, and we have to open the door to anyone selling something, offering advice, healing, anything. Like, if we're not open to it, it's not going to happen, even if it's the best thing in the world. And I would get really mad about that, because I'm like, oh, I see it. And then being with David, and I definitely, before him, I wanted a person that was going to help me develop myself, and I knew it was going to probably be hard because I'd have to be honest with myself. So David is amazing at that. He's like, here's your mirror. What do you think about that one?
Yeah.
And then I also knew that having children, I wanted to find them, if that makes sense. Before we had them, like, I wanted to find David. I wanted to find them because I knew that they would awaken my own honesty, and I knew I had a bigger purpose, and I wasn't doing it on my own, because being a little Sagittarius and running around like life of the party kind of social butterfly but like meets hummingbird. Yeah, more of a hummingbird.
Not a dragonfly?
Nah, sometimes.
Okay.
But
yeah. No, you can be fierce, and that's again, you mentioned Sagittarius as part of the sign is being very direct, cutting through things.
Very. And now I've been able to balance that more and be direct when someone wants that. So it's like, okay, you want this, cool, here we go. And it's so done in such a non-judgmental, loving way because someone has asked. I'm like, are you sure you want everything? And they're like, yes, give me what you see. And it's like, awesome, thank you. And then it just opens everything up. and I don't feel it's just such an honor now. So it's pretty cool to be able to help out and just offer a gift that I've had for a long time and finally developed in a
and she's highly
kind
intuitive
way.
too. So a lot of how she can see things comes from her intuition. And when we got together, she would recommend things, and I'd shut it down because I'm like, for me, I'm very logical. I'm like, you know, if this, then that, and where's the evidence for that and all that stuff. And she's like, it's just a feeling. I don't know. And then a month later, or however much time given the situation, it was like, dang. In retrospect, she saw more actually about the situation than even the situation brought about. She saw like how it was going to formulate, not just what's going on in the situation, how it was formulating, and how any given situation can come about, and that's powerful. You know, it's just powerful stuff.
Seeing the big picture.
Yeah, like I mean, I've had clients where, you know, they come to me for generally like nutrition or something like that, or like micronutrients, which is where my love is, and and it's like that ends up being like the sprinkling on top. It's like hardly anything, which I will definitely recommend based on their body type and their emotions and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, what's going on over here? Why is your like deceased family member right here? You know, and didn't know that was going to be a superpower of mine. But it's like, well, let's address that. Here we go. Or, you know, like, I can see you're in this relationship, not happy. Let's go into these things, and they won't even
family history.
Yeah,
your relationship
and they won't even say anything, and I'll just like, what's up with that? What's up with this? And then they start opening up, and like one girl I'm working with, the other day she's like, oh, I forgot to tell you I have anxiety. Like, dude, that's like the most important part of like a program I would write, because I want to know what's up. And then come to find out, she has all these really cool things happening. Like when she was little, a white snowy owl would follow her every single day to school. Huge.
Really?
Huge.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so, you know, these are the kind of things, like, I see that, and then that's when I start pulling everything together, and it's like, okay, what's going on? And it almost feels like, what's that movie with Tom Cruise where he was, like, moving and stuff?
Minority Report.
Yes. So it's like that, but in a less lethal way. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like future film credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a way to help give people clarity. And I guess a good way I've heard is I provide a map. So, yeah, that's that, yeah.
In a very shamanic way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, she uses, you can speak for yourself, but different methods. And it's really whatever works. Like she said, she can go to nutrition, then she can go to animal medicine. You mentioned the owl and stuff, and just seeing whatever is relative. You know, no matter how fantastic it sounds, all the way down to the very practical. You need to hit up David and get your core and, you know, engaged in everything. You know, work on your physical, because it's all connected.
Yeah, and like what opened me up too about stuff like that was I would have constant shoulder issues, and before it was like after swimming, and you know, a lot of rotator cuff stuff with swimming and stuff, but and this was before I started racing snowboarding, which I have more shoulder issues now, but I went to a lady that she was my Aikido instructor, and she did like a lot of past life stuff, and so she was working on me, and I opened my eyes, and she's just like going like this, like pulling stuff out of my shoulder, and I'm happy to go with anyone on whatever they're doing, you know, and asked her what she said, or she was finding, and she said, it appears that you've had a couple past lives where you were like a mercenary and you were a warrior, and so you were helping most likely women and children, and you were just like, I can see all the red tape and the, you know, the probably most likely what I keep finding is like religious wars and stuff like that, so I just go in and just take care of business. But she said at one point I got like shrapnel in my shoulder, so she was just pulling stuff out. So whenever I start getting really protective of people, and it's like, whoa, this is messed up, I get pain in my shoulder. So it's been showing me that there's so much evidence, and there's so many ways to access truth, and like how our beliefs are formulated. And sometimes a lot of it is from our parents, but when you start to clear all that out, I'm realizing it's even before our parents, even before our upbringing. It's perhaps past lives, if people want to go there, or just almost like a DNA remembering of things. So when we can access that and just let that go, then finding people are just able to be serene again. If that makes sense. And as long as they're willing to go there with me, and if not, then other.
Yeah, 'cause it's hard to face yourself, and it's hard to face, and that's the, even, I say even in gymnastics, but like I've explained this before, in gymnastics it's like a very intimate sport. You are the sport. There's not a ball and a basket, and you call that basketball or soccer, things like that. You are the expression of the sport, and you are the one being judged essentially. So to make a change in the sport, getting over a fear, it's addressing stuff inside you, and it's very hard to deal with, and that's why I always use gymnastics because I coach it. It's one of the best tools, and I'm obviously biased in that because that's my background, but still I found it's one of the best tools to sort yourself out, create yourself new, things like that, because I don't know, and that's what I find. That's what I was saying. It's hard for people to admit, first of all, that they're afraid. It's hard for people to admit, I'm not strong enough, or I'm very strong, or I'm highly prepared for this on either level. And everyone has, again, where they come from, whether they're going to be fearful or resistant. That's the word I was looking for. Resistant to success or failure, whichever way you want to look at it, which those are relative, but given the person, it matters, and it's something to address each and every time.
For sure.
And it's tough.
That's what I like about, I'm not a gymnast, but what I've been watching, that and CrossFit, is it seems like there's a narrow spectrum, I guess, for people to lie to themselves. You can't get too far, like in CrossFit, or you'll get hurt. Or gymnastics, you'll get hurt. You're not gonna.
Gymnastics is truth. That's what I'm saying. Really.
It
you get
is.
up there, you show me, it tells you exactly what's going on. And you're thinking of this before you went, weren't you?
Yeah, and I find like it seems like that's here too. When you have really good coaches to control that and protect people from themselves, it's I just see people experiencing their truth here so much. And I mean, even me too. When I came here, had just had our third child, and just feeling wrecked. And it's like, oh God, why am I going to go through this and feel even more, and it's like, what am I doing? And now I feel amazing, and I'm stronger than I probably have ever been.
You're a beast now. Yeah.
Yeah, and
we wrestled. I just wanted to play, but she has no gauge, so I don't mess with her much, seriously, because if I'm gonna have to hurt her if we play, and I don't want to hurt her. I was just playing, and then she just turned me over. I had to triangle choke her and everything, just to stop.
And the mom at the gym was like,
she's strong.
1, 2, 3.
She's so strong. Yeah, you're the strongest you've ever been. I think I can vouch for that one.
I'm super loyal and protective of my family and stuff, and within it was only 2 weeks of David and I together.
Oh my God, are you really gonna? Oh no, this is gonna make me look. There was a little house party of all of the athletes from the training center, and we had left, and I mean, we were just walking along. This one kid with us, he's like a kid, but he's early 20s probably at the time, I don't know, and he's the nicest guy in the world, totally the nicest guy. But for whatever reason, when he gets drunk, he decides to slap people in the face. This was in the kitchen.
No, we were walking down the sidewalk. I remember this. I remember perfectly.
Go ahead.
We were all walking as a group, and he just thinks I should slap people, I guess, when I get drunk. Just tag real quick and run away. Not a good idea. I don't think anyone likes that.
No.
Especially guys, I mean, women have their own reasons, but I don't see many guys that are like, oh, that was funny, No.
Yeah. Oh, man.
No.
You really slapped me in the face.
You slapped me in the face, bro.
See, everyone's look was like, and I see him doing this, and I hear David go, if he slaps me, he's going to die. And I was like, I believe it. And he's a really good kid.
But I think we were talking, so I think either way.
Yeah, and
he
somehow
slapped me in the face.
he has somehow gone ahead
And
of
I was
us. We
about
don't
to
even know how it happened. And he
murder somebody.
Yeah, he just stopped. And
And my training, again, my dad's a martial artist, still is to this very day. He's a student of it, you know, even though I consider him highly
master.
But either way, so my habit, is like, all right, it's time for you to die. That's it. I don't care. There's no technique involved in this. I'm gonna take this and bust it. You know? But anyway.
But I saw this all in like a brief, moment, and I was like, this kid's cool. He's just not doing the smartest thing right now. He's not happy, but I really want to continue seeing him and not, through jail cell.
Yeah.
And so I just turned around and bam! And I hit him like as hard as I could in the face. And he just stopped, and I was like, don't do that. And we just walked away.
You don't do that. And I was like, I just met this girl. She was,
That's awesome.
all right.
And then like David walked away, and he's like, oh, okay. And it diffused it, and I turned around, I was like, are you okay? I'm pretty sure I just saved your life, And then we just walked on, but
That's awesome.
after that, it was like, yeah, I guess
She's a
I'll do that.
protector. She's the one that doesn't, if there's a fire, boom, she's in it, taking care of it, doing whatever's around. More than me. I'm like, okay, what do we have to do? And she's like, time for that.
Get in there.
Yeah.
So both of you guys have like spoke on the trials and like tribulations you face on any time, adversity, whether it be sports or and I always have this is something I always think about is like two individuals. I want both of you guys to answer this. Two individuals are handed the same program, right? And I feel like I've seen this, and maybe I'm hoping you guys have seen this. One person gets results and the other one doesn't, right? It's like, listen, we're doing this. We're doing the same thing,
Yeah.
And this person, and I don't want to say they get it, but something about them, something happens, whether it be like desire or whatever. But you guys seem to be in touch with it. What would you say that is that those people, whether it be like rehab, whether it be strength training, whether it be anything, what is it that makes this person, progress and this person just doesn't? It's probably always different, but
You can go first.
Well, from what I see, it could be a number of things, but mostly it's as simple as commitment and habits. What I see a lot, and I'll go to coaching kids. I'm coaching kids. I see these patterns that they go through, and all I see is their parents. It's like you're acting, and our kids the same way. Humans are like this. We're developed. We only, it's like monkey see, monkey do. We see our parents doing these things. They don't. It's like what is that phrase? We don't teach our kids anything. We give them what we are, and that's it. So I see these habits of whether they're productive habits or unproductive habits. It's like I go back to your environment, your surroundings. Do you have goals? Do your parents move towards these things, or surroundings, guardians, whoever? Do they have targets, and do they work to get there? And if you're seeing that on a more or less daily basis, you're gonna be like that in some fashion. So you can say it's commitment, which you can learn how to do that, but you have to unlearn a lot of other things. So the one who's getting stuff done is, first of all, sees an end goal and then says, it's worth it to go through whatever I'm going through now to get there. And the other person says, that's a long fucking road. And that's it. And they can read all these motivational things and listen to audio tapes these days, really? MP3s of
Those cassettes?
of the sorts. Yes, I'm 35. Either way, and still not make any headway. So it's the habits that you've developed throughout life, and which determines, I would say, your level of commitment and your ability to get something done. Because I see kids ranging from 6 to 18 with every single one of them for the most part, has this, what we call potential. They have so much potential.
Mm-hmm.
So the fuck what? What are you doing about it? You have to turn it into something, and that comes from, what kind of habits were instilled in you.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's like as simple as that. And then it's almost like my theories proved when I have the discussion with the parents that defend their child's, call it laziness, or lack of commitment. There's an excuse for this. Oh well, he's been going through, and it's like,
yeah,
everyone's going through something all the time, no matter how you look at it, so that's how I look at it.
David's more what the parents don't realize is David is much more Russian than in like his approach than like a lot of American coaches, where he's just like, no more bullshit.
Well,
if you're either just gonna do this or not,
you do what works. And if you say you're gonna do it, that's not even Russian. That's just having integrity.
But their mentality, if you go into like a gym where the coach is Russian, the culture is, you're gonna work differently. Like there's no nonsense. What we learned from on tour, like
on tour
with Cirque du Soleil, yes, David was an acrobat with Cirque, and or still is, and they taught us just by being around them, like just right in, get in there. If you're gonna do it, do it. If not, don't. Like, don't mess around. They're amazing
so
about it.
Yeah.
So his approach is much more like that with kids, but then also in the videos and the programs he writes people, where it's like, if you're gonna do this, I'll get you there. Like David says all the time, like, I know how to win. That's what I do. That's all I do. So that's what you're gonna get, but don't pretend to think that like you're gonna kind of skirt your way out of this if you say you want
or
it,
doing it your way.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to do it their way. It's more comfortable for me to do it this way, and it's like, why are you coming to me if you're going to do it your way? Or why do you need a coach if you're going to do it your way?
Which I'm sure you guys see.
You've never been to this level. How are you going to, and I have, and it's not it's not an ego, it's not a arrogant thing. It's like, I've been here, and I've been with people who've gone here and with me right there, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're right here. That's not an opinion. That's reality. If you want to argue that, okay, show me here. See, you can't do it. So I will show you. Do these things. Okay, be responsible of that. Be accountable for your actions. Observe yourself. Recognize. I tend to give up when it gets to this point, or when I run into this issue. That's when I back down. Being honest with that, and as opposed to, I was tired today. I didn't get much sleep last night, and like, man, I ain't slept in 3 weeks. What you talking about, man? I'm here. Look, chalk up.
And if you do have a good work ethic, he'll be your best friend. That segues into what I do with people is to answer your question, which is an awesome question, really good question. Is meeting people at their highest level of, best way I can explain it is of honesty. Like people have their little layers. We all do. And then I'll,
like an onion.
Yes, and I'll like search for that level of where it's gonna go from like black to white. Where it's like, these are the things you know of yourself. Maybe these are the things you say of yourself, but this is not who you are, but they're saying they want to be here. Let's say like surfing is really good. Like people come out and I'll just watch people that are fit and agile and their bodies are just responding right away. It's like, sweet. Okay, we're just a little fine tuning and find out as they're surfing, like, what are you here for? Why are you here? Okay, cool. And then just keep addressing that every time they ride, every time they pop up. Some people come and it's like, why on earth did you come here? I'm just curious, because you're kind of like a marshmallow with bones right now.
Yeah.
So how do I get you from that to almost living outside of that body for this next hour? And I personally am so determined that I'm not willing to just sit back and just like let them be themselves. I want them to experience greater reaches than maybe they've ever experienced, and most people will leave that way. They're like, I can't believe I just got
not
to do
to
that.
be their conditioned selves, I would say.
Yes.
It's not that you're
selves,
saying you can't be you. It's
Yes.
it's actually more allowing to be you, and like I was saying, her seeing the bigger picture, she sees more of them than they see of themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not gonna let you be you right now,
Yeah,
as
for
you
sure.
as you're acting right now.
Yeah, your current self. Like I see that perfect being behind it. And yes, thank you. So that's what I like to do, is just look for those levels of honesty within them. So like in a physical setting like surfing, it's really easy to just be like, okay, let's try this one, and kind of just keep steering until I get a bigger picture, and then give it to them. And as they're surfing, I'll give them little like emotional gems, something just for them to anchor onto. In programs, I do the same thing. And oftentimes, and I've experienced that, where one person will just skyrocket and it radically change their life. I mean, 180 degrees in a few months. Like things that.
And they come back. You have a gift.
Yeah.
You have a gift. I kept hearing that for a while. You have a gift.
And it's cool. It's nice to hear, but it's more important that I see that in that person. It's like they're so happy and they're experiencing something they hopefully would have happened, but it might have taken maybe 10 years or something like that, you know. And I'm able to just go with them and go, you're fine. This is right. You're like, I'm gonna walk with you, and it's okay. And like I'll kind of tug them a little bit once in a while. Like, no, you don't get to go back to your little comfortable bed or little nook. Like, come on. But I've had a couple clients recently where it's like they're super stoked and then nothing. And when I don't hear anything from people, like feedback or questions, then I know they're not doing their work. So then I have to go back and go, okay, what did you think of this part? What did you think of that part? And then if I hear, oh, okay, good, it was great. It's like, okay, so none of this is relative. We need to find out why you even asked me in the first place. So then I'll have to keep going back and back and back to like find out. Basically, I'm gonna look for when they like cry, they start shaking a little bit, all of a sudden they have clarity, some sort of flow, and then it's like restart, go back into that, or I even have to give them something new. But I'm determined to find truth, so I'm just not gonna let up.
I feel like that's that whole like find your why, right? Find your why.
Anytime.
If you can find out why, and you might not even realize what it is. The individual might not even realize what it is, but I feel like you're saying once you fully understand why you are there, why you want to be, why you're doing this, then you can harness that and let it take you through.
Yeah, even if you have an idea of why, honestly,
just
you have
vague.
to fully understand. Because people don't function, I say people, but I guess the ones that are asking for help, they haven't decided on anything, They haven't decided their direction yet, and sometimes you think you need to go this way, and then, again, in retrospect, it's like, nah, you needed to be over here messing with this little flower or something.
Yeah.
But if you didn't make the decision first and foremost, there's nowhere for you to go. You're going to be floating around all the time. So just start with something that you may think will work,
And trust, having some faith in people, I think is really important. Like if you're going to go physical therapist, if you're going to go to coach, if you're going to go to someone that can see, then have some trust and faith in their process and what they're really good at. If not, then go do your thing.
Yeah, and just open up to that.
Yeah. I think it's like we're all so connected. So it's like when someone comes to you guys needing work and you help them overcome something, that has just helped you, obviously, become better at what you do, fine-tune.
Even fulfilled.
Yeah, fulfilled,
you
for
realize
sure.
all the work, all the hours that you guys have put into
Yeah, like
all the studying and
you help
and
someone
work
like
yourself.
come back from a hip surgery or something like that, and all of a sudden they can go surf or something like that. Like, I'm sure that feels amazing.
Yeah.
And so it completes the circle, I think. And so in this day and age, especially when like we have all these like pseudo friends, on Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff.
Followers.
Like, yeah.
Because we're
I don't
leaders.
want followers. I just want people that lead themselves. But if we can make physical connections again, like actually hug somebody, like you helped me or I helped you, like, that's so much more important than looking and seeing, oh, I've got 10,000 followers. It's like, cool. What are you doing with that?
It all helps.
I mean, it's nice for sure,
helps,
but
it
I want
helps to be in touch with people. Yeah,
for sure.
It's just
It's
solely
just
that.
so much more important to realize that like we were able to circulate together and get some stuff going and just trusting each other. Because I think everyone's promising the world with what they do, but you know, until you actually do it, it's crap.
Yeah.
We were talking, Kai, about David at Boo Ranch and his hatred for mediocrity. And it seems like you
Hatred?
definitely,
I don't know about hatred.
you definitely both have
My
that
dissatisfaction, possibly.
dissatisfaction.
Yeah, it's a fine line.
Yeah. And that kind of ties into what we're talking
It's
about.
just it's my sport. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and so, how do you feel about mediocrity? Is it kind of what we're saying, like you're not living up to your potential, or you're living your conditioned life, or is it something deeper when you're training somebody for, you know, a question for both of you, that you feel, oh, this person is just mediocre right now. What do you do with that?
Well, oh man, mediocrity in the sense of someone's ability level.
Maybe that you feel that they're not living up to what they could be.
And okay, in that sense, well, that's where it's just, and this is how I feel, this is completely me and how I feel about that. It's like, if I were to just stay somewhere, what's the point? For me, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. It feels like I'm just wasting away. And so when I see somebody doing that, and then I actually see what I feel when I'm doing that, it's like, and you ask me for help on top of that, that's when I can't stand that. That's when you said, help me with this, and then I give you what you came for, and then you essentially piss on it or something, or just, you know, put that under my ass, or and that's what it's just. So it's not even hatred, it's just I turn the other way. That's how I feel about it.
Just wasting time.
Well, yeah, because you're not being real, and if you're not being real, what kind of reality are you living in? Reality. You know, what kind of existence is that? And it's not even mediocre saying you have to be great. And you know, I even raised my hand to act like there's levels to that, and it's more like she said in the very beginning. It's a truth. It's an honesty with yourself, and that's gonna look different for everybody. But in my realm, like say in gymnastics, and someone comes to me and says, I want to be on the team, and especially when you talk about being on the team, then it's a whole different echelon and approach to training, and the demand is different when you're competing at something. It's like, well, and I'm not big on results and like get first place and all this. Like, no, fuck that. Do you to the greatest, and that will determine the placement, and whatever placement you get is essentially what you deserve, you know, in the grand scheme of things. So it's just not something real to me when somebody says they want to do something and then does nothing about it. You're not even being the question that I want something, or will you help me? That's not what you mean to ask. It's, can I look busy for a bit? Can you give me things that allow me to look busy, to allow me to appear a certain way? There we go.
So you want the status of, like,
you know,
I'm doing gymnastics.
I'm a gymnast. Check
Yo,
this out. I
yeah.
can get upside down. It's like upside down is different from being aligned and understanding how to fine tune that line. Get out of my face with that.
God
See,
damn.
now I'm getting all heated.
Yeah.
Because that's the passion of mine. It's like
Get a
you
little
can't
scared over here.
you can't play with that. It's a very, you can't play with truth, and that's why I say gymnastics is truth. That's my realm. To somebody, a blacksmith, their work is truth, because look at this. You didn't heat that long enough, and I don't know anything about that. You know what I'm saying?
I believe it. Yeah.
So, I don't know. That matters. Quite literally, it matters. You can feel it. You can sense it with your senses. You know, it's not this ethereal thing. It's like, this is like some hard stuff, and it's this ethereal stuff. You know, so you can't. Don't ask me to look busy. You go on YouTube. You look busy.
Yeah.
Follow whatever, do follow people. But if you want to become because and that's the thing, we're always in a state of becoming, no matter what. It's change. Change is the only constant, right? In the universe, it's change. So if you come to me to be the same, or you say you want something, you're gonna be the same. That's where I'm like, fly that kite. Right out there. It's windy as fuck outside. You know?
Yeah.
And that's when I get real serious.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
tell. That's why I
Yeah.
don't play. But the person who's like, I need this, and I turn my back, and I look around, and they're doing that, you got me for life. I'll give you whatever you need, you know? And it's not that you have to reach this level. Yes, I made Olympics, or yes, I got whatever goal you set out. It's just, are you going to make an honest effort? Are you going to make an honest reflection and be true to who you say you are, even if it's not exactly who you are at that point because of the conditioning and everything? Have you taken a direction and followed that? That's what quite literally, again, matters.
Yeah.
Matter.
And I'll back that up with, I know,
I get
like,
all sweaty when
I don't think the hair's on either, but yeah.
but I know with David when he did Cirque and in his acts, like, I mean, you guys have all seen shows or even just, you know, stuff on YouTube or anything like that. Like, they're so intricate and they're so phenomenal that, I mean, they're dangerous as hell. Like, every single act is so dangerous. And so
is driving a car.
True, but this is much more exciting to watch. But watching them all do what they're good at, like, they're not messing around there. You know, like, yeah, they'll joke when they're, like, stretching and stuff. But when it gets time, everyone has... I didn't see, like, ego or anything like that. I just saw them totally step into, this is who I am. This is my flow, and this is my, like my superhero status, you know, like, there's no question. And so when you have that all the time, to be able to come from that, and then, you know, before that, going to OU and them having the dynasty there, and then going to the training center and having this background, it's really hard to play, like, bullshit game, you know? So it's like, if people come, then it's like, yes, I will totally help you, and I absolutely love it. And I've seen some of the kids he works with where they're working through their conditioning, but there's like one kid, he's so awesome, and he's constantly just making himself available. And so because of it, David is there with him every day, you know, and some kids don't, and they're kind of probably wondering, why don't I have that relationship? But he's making himself available. He's 12 years old, and he can do that. And I mean, I've seen, like, a mom that worked with him, she just wanted to get more fit. She just was, you know, at a desk for, I don't know, however many years. 8 years, slouched, you know, but she's like, just looking at her, and you look like, oh, she's fit, kind of, you know, she was probably.
Yeah, she walked and
Yeah,
stuff.
and now, like, every time he'd work with her, she'd just be, her mind was blown, because he was not only getting her stronger, but giving her information how to back up her kind of newfound lifestyle. She came from overseas, and it was weird in her community to have, like, oils and to, like, read holistic health books, and, you know, and so he was empowering her to do that, and she's now that anchor, and, like, she's the anchor for the family, she's the anchor for probably her friends, and that's gonna grow. And he had given her enough information that when she went back home for the summer, I think she was probably feeling like she could hold her own, and then she'd be okay. And then all the way over to kids that are on World Team, where he's like, try this little thing, and then he watches, as he's watching World Championships online, he's like, I did that. I had him do exactly, like, I had him do that, but it was like,
he still worked
that,
on it.
exactly, and so it's really cool to see that range.
But that's one thing, is I integrate. That's what she mentioned, that mom, and blowing her mind every session we would have. We worked just once a week, but sometimes she'd be like, I didn't want to get up and come out here, and we would meet at the park, you know, every morning, or you know, that one morning a week. And then she's like, every time we leave, I feel so great, I feel better. And I think the reason was because, and this is a big thing that I want to make sure I keep myself, you know, we all have our ego. I'll do my best to keep that out of there in order for the person to flourish. So what I do is I integrate everything. I do my best to connect everything So she thinks she's getting stretching, and I'm like, you see how that can help your relationship with your brother? How you work through that?
Yeah, it's
And
pretty cool.
do you see, and we don't have the time to explain the details of that, but again, that stuff worked, and it does matter. And she's like, whoa, I never thought that would connect to this, and that I would find that through this. And it's like, well,
And she would do it.
it's like everything you do has a back door, essentially, a back door to something else, and that back door is to something else, and that's the network and the web that really the universe is, and that our brain, you look at the brain, nothing but web-looking networks, hopefully. But here we are, and in this society, honestly trying to get rid of that shit. We're trying to just channel this way, specialist this way, keep it everything separate. We think we're social media, we're networking. Everybody's like this. You're at dinner, you're this. Or who's really connecting? That's what she was talking about. Hands. I feel you. Are we actually connecting? And so, anyways, that's that integration of all things, the integration of life, and that's what I say with gymnastics. There is no separation between you and the sport that you're doing. You are still you when you're in the air like this. You're still you when you're pulling up, on this apparatus, on that apparatus. It just presents different challenges for you to know yourself better.
That's it.
It's beautiful, man.
So I got a quick question I want to ask. So this is in terms of, and I think it's for both of you guys, but I definitely think of the gymnastics world in terms of, gymnastics. I'm helping out here, but all you guys, there's variable training and then like progressive training. What's the two types of especially gymnastics? It's like you're not ready. We're linear training like that. What is your thoughts on that? Because I feel like in the gymnastics world, it's definitely a place of we need to take you back down. We need to get this ready. We need to get this ready. Until you've mastered this, then it's time to go here.
Yeah.
Versus variable training. What are your thoughts on all of that kind of
Towards
stuff?
gymnastics?
Yeah. More towards. I'm sure it's gonna play into something with life, but more towards more towards exercise in general, right? Is it? Do you view things more of a step ladder, or is it boom? Let me take you up top for a second and show you what that. Only because I don't know anything about gymnastics, but let me show you what this feels like for half a second, and then take you back down, and then
Well, one thing is that gymnastics is a sport. So once you create sport, you've kind of taken it out of real life. So in that sense, it has to be a linear process. It has to be building block, and there is no such thing as let you feel what an iron cross feels like for half a second. It ain't the same thing actually doing it and having somebody hold you with your arms out. Hey guys, take a picture. Take a picture. That's completely different. In training for life though, and these levels, you can't. That's what I say. I alluded to that earlier. You cannot reach that higher level without the base understanding. You cannot generate the power and the elasticity in your body to shape like this and come around the bar unless you've understood, not just done 1,000 V-ups, but understood what you're going for in those, what your intention is in those 1,000 V-ups. V-ups, is that your side?
Yeah.
Just to clarify that. So, and especially within sport, you're going for a certain end goal. It's not just an ongoing development. It is, well, I'll say it is and it isn't. It's both and. That's why, and that's another thing that I really drive. There's even in logic, there's the either or fallacy. There's never just one way of doing either this or that. No, there's all these factors that go into it. But for the most part, you have to have a certain strength to be able to hold the rings in a position in the handstand. You have to have and you have to be able to do the handstand on a solid ground that doesn't move before you can control it on a moving piece of apparatus. So there's definitely linear progressions in gymnastics, and like you said, when I come in here, I'm like, you're going to have to come back, you're going to have to get on the floor before you can get that pull-up. Like, if you can't hold your body together, what do you think all this is going to be doing for you, and what is that anyways?
Mm-hmm.
no offense against
No.
butterfly pull-ups and all that.
Just doing it properly.
Yes, and I show people how to function and flow through that properly, and I even think you remember that phrase. There's not weakness in fluidity, and I was like, water will fuck you up.
Yes.
And I think I did that on a Sunday, and that Friday, Houston flood comes.
Uh-oh.
Yep,
Yeah.
it was. And I remember, because I remember it was like the flood. I was like, I just said, I wonder if they're like, man, water will fuck you up.
He was right.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah. No, but it was just that, how close that was, and I don't know. Everything's connected again. But either way, I lost my train of thought.
We'll be expecting a flood this coming month.
Yeah, you know,
No.
hopefully
No.
everybody stay safe. I even lost it. What?
Water will fuck you up.
Yeah.
That's a good segue.
Yeah.
Well, that was it. Just understanding how movement works, how your body works, and how it's really connected. And we like to separate things so much. Like CrossFit's different, and luckily it's done wonders and changes people's perspective on how to integrate different types of movements, and that actually has been good. And it started off a bit rough, and the understanding wasn't there, and the education wasn't there. But now it's developed into something a bit more sound, I would say.
For sure.
So you still have to respect the movement.
Of
like you
course,
said.
and you brought people like me in, and weightlifting people in to go, no, this is how you do it. It's not a matter of lifting 1,000 pounds above your head. It's not a matter of getting on top of the rings. It's how you get there.
Yeah.
And that's what gymnastics is all about. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Even at the sport especially at the sport level, really. The basic clean routine, nice form, aesthetics are there, flows well, control is there, will always score higher than the difficult, I do triple flip but it looks like it just looks terrible, because it's how you do it, not what you do. And that's why it's important to really fine-tune the simple stuff, going back on the ground and stuff like that, before really earning the right. And with strength, and that's what my brother and I, he's a gymnast as well and coaches with me, we say, like, people like, hey, can you teach me? I want to learn a planche. And that's, planche, holding your body out.
Yeah.
I want to learn a planche. It's like, you don't learn strength, you earn it. So the way I got across, and I can just sit there and smile and even do what I call the Jesus hang, where I'll come here and just boom, and I'll drop a little bit below the rings, turn my head like that, then come back up just for fun. To be able to do that, I earned the right to do that. I did years of just sitting here in a support, just struggling a little bit, an inch at a time, just struggling. My coach didn't say, hey, go do 10 of these. I wanted it, so I got up there every day, in between events, go back to rings, boom, just try, struggle. Career's over, as that goes. But anyways, you earn it. Everything is you earn it, and if you're not willing to put the time in to earn it, you're not willing to succeed.
Which I'm sure both of you guys see in your professions and coaching.
Yeah.
And do you notice that the people that are willing to earn it obviously are not getting injured as much, or
recover faster?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Is there a
faster.
correlation?
Recover on
Yeah.
schedule.
Excuse me. Even like some of the stuff we're reading now about like the science of pain, like that's another huge impact or aspect of it. Because somebody could have the same injury, but the way you're conditioned to even think about pain is gonna
Big time.
Completely.
Yeah, it's gonna.
I could be out for 6 months. You and I could have the same injury.
Yeah.
It just completely destroys my world. And Jared's back the next day.
And so much of that starts
Because it hurts.
Yeah.
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 And there is a difference between pain and injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tore my ACL. Can't walk on the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
my knee's been sore. Okay, well, just 5 more and then we'll ease up for today. You
Yeah.
can still do work.
Yeah.
And there was even, we just watched, did our research on your wellness, your.
I love the videos. They're so awesome.
We were watching tend to what? Not tendinitis.
Tendinopathy?
There you go.
Yeah.
Tendinopathy. and how you need to load it instead of just chilling out.
Yes.
Like you got to do something.
Yeah.
You have to stimulate
Yes.
the healing. Healing doesn't. It's not just like, oh yeah, and we're great.
Yeah.
You know, you got to do something about it. I forgot what we were talking about before. Keep getting.
I don't remember.
More the science and
Or
doing.
pain, pain, and how you can get back on top of things a lot more efficiently than just chilling out. And again, the conditioning behind that, and that comes again through education. If the parents out there, you know, if dad, I don't know, had a bummed ankle and he sat up, oh, I'm just letting it heal, you know, I'm just, and then didn't get then the grass is growing and stuff. It's like, I just it's still hurting a bit. And then everything's like catering to it. Then you got the dad who's like, clearly has a broken ankle. Get some duct tape, put this on. That kid's gonna be tougher.
Yeah.
That kid's and tougher in the sense of, okay, that's another relative term, but in the sense of being able to handle pain, to address pain and just go, it just hurts.
Yeah. And
that's what my dad instilled in me. Like, we would wrestle and just, you know, fight all the time, but controlled manner, because he was teaching us. I'd have him in what I think I had him, you know, in something, in a lock or something. He goes, it's just pain. It's just pain, you know. It's just pain. And then he fucked me up, you know. He goes, see? It's just pain. And I always thought he was Superman, but he was like, no, you had me. That hurt. But it's just pain. It's not broken. It's not torn. You can still move, right? You can still breathe, right? You can get that sip of air when you got that choke in. That's all I need. You know, it's when you cut it off, and I'm not doing anything about it, is when devastation happens.
Which I finally had to tap the other night, because I was like, no, I'm not going to breathe.
I told you, I was like, you're going to have to tap, I'm telling you. I'm being nice.
And that
but you have to put your bull strength behind it, jeez.
I had to work for it. But that leads me back to, I guess, my answer for that mediocrity. His thought of that is like, I think, especially coming from like a woman's perspective and a mother and stuff, but just a woman in general, and I'm sure I'm pretty sensitive to this from maybe past lives or whatever. But
and this life.
And this life, for sure. I've definitely had my challenges, for sure. As you know, women, and now really I think all of humanity, really, as a general, by no means is it everyone, is really set up to kind of like suck. And just like really like just like it's okay to be just lazy. It's okay to watch like 10,000 hours of Netflix. It's okay to just like
awards.
participation,
Everyone's supposed to feel like a winner.
And but it's I did
get those awards.
But it's like I think that you know and it all goes kind of there's conspiracy theory behind this, but like to control and everything, you know. But especially for women, in my opinion, if we can produce life, like we can literally produce life, we're pretty badass. And the fact that life exists because it comes through us, and because this earth is Mother Earth, like it exists because it allows itself to be.
It's the real matrix.
Then like
it generates multiple life forms.
Yeah. Then, in my opinion, people should not mess with women. At all.
You can say that again.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. Women should never be messed with, and like try to take the power away, because if we're, in my opinion, if we're resting on Mother Earth and our lives exist because of her, she'll eventually restore balance, which I believe is happening right now.
Floods, get out of here. Hurricanes, get out of here.
Yeah, so no matter whatever the patriarch was and has been and is finally kind of washing away, is like we all have each other's backs, and like so that leads to, in my opinion, like I love why CrossFit is so great for women, and I see why so many women flourish in it, is because it's like it's grounds for us to be strong again and kind of be like Amazons again.
Yeah.
And it's celebrated and it's all over the world, which I love, and it's like it's like the in thing, but it also I think is waking up stuff inside of us, inside of our cells, inside of our DNA, that it's like, no, we used to be pretty badass, and like we don't have to fight, we don't have to go to war, and
always were.
And always were.
And it's the cloud of media and
and like
again the conspiracy theory. What's no conspiracy theory? It's pay attention. Yeah. And those kinds of things that.
And women have definitely been annihilated in the process, and like literally people are trying to like summon that power out of them, or they wouldn't be messed with. You know, like even if it goes down to being taken advantage of physically, it's like they're trying to take something. Someone is trying to take something from that person. So women being able to get strong again and just, you know, protect their aura, protect their being, protect just how they walk, means the difference of, you know, the world. Like my sister says our children are slightly feral. That's true, and we make it that way so that people are like, I don't really want to get in the mix of like those Tasmanian devils, and we do that right now so that they have that kind of aura about them that's like they're good, you know, and like their manners and how they treat people is all coming. But I wanted their protection first, and
they're
how
good people,
they're very good people, but I was not willing to pull away their strength just so they looked polite. You know, like it was like these are kids. People want their power. Not I don't view the world as predators all over the place, but there are, and I wanted them to project themselves of, I will go jack on you, and I will pull your hair out, you know, like so.
And it doesn't have to be predators to the extent of like take them. It's like there's people that just, you know, want your essence and energy and just want your attention and stuff, and
bullies
want you to like them,
exactly.
or even them family members just like me more. And it's like if they have their own personal strength, they'll tell you. One guy said it beautifully. We were at Inland, and some guy was like, he has some daughters, he has his own daughters, some daughters. He has his own set of daughters. Anyways, and he was like, oh, you were talking to our middle one about the old one, because our oldest one, she's 7. She loves to surf and be out there. She loves like this. She's so strong. She can pick me up. Not that I'm the heaviest one, but she's 7 and can pick me up. Anyways, she's like, so you're gonna be like your sister out there? And she was sitting there. She was like, he was like right there, and she goes, I'm not gonna be like anybody. I'm gonna be like myself. She's 5.
Yes.
You know,
this dude was
and right there, I'm like, that's my girl. I don't, you know, and some people can overlook that easily and just, I don't know, oh, that's cute and stuff. I'm like, that's real stuff right there.
Yeah.
That's a future woman saying, I'm gonna be me.
Most adults don't know that shit.
You know, and are even willing to.
Yeah.
So they'll just cater to the, you know, the conversation in the group, which at some point, you know, there's interaction and you can morph, but you gotta know yourself, and you gotta know your limits and what you are willing and unwilling to stand for. You know, and so in that little moment, it's like, oh, we're doing something right.
Yeah.
Every other day, we're fucking up. Messed up.
Yep.
Oh, no, you better stop that. But we're doing something when they have that response, and I didn't say, now say, now tell them be. Now say, can you say be?
Yeah.
That's the program. I'm like, okay, do our best to let them program themselves. And of course, it's not just them on their own. I am not stupid. I know that we're giving them what we are at the same time, you know. So it's constant. Check yourself. You see something you don't like in her actions. Oh, she's lying to her sister about this. She's lying to you every time you ask her a damn question. What are you lying about? What are you lying to yourself about? Because they're seeing stuff that we don't even see. So she says, I'm the mirror. They're the mirrors, and we're all like reflecting off each other.
They're the mirror plus
so
like
what
the
do we wanna,
flashlight, mag light.
So what do we want to see? What do we want to experience? Address that.
And that's something I'm really thankful that my dad instilled in me when I was younger. Like I think he wanted boys, so he treated me and my sister like boys, because that's kind of what he was prepared for.
Hence how she don't play.
Yeah. And
she's not gentle.
And probably would have benefited me to like do some ballet or something. But I love that he taught me to have a high pain tolerance, you know. That I didn't really get to. I cried a lot, and that was my only way to like soften him up.
You cry a lot.
I do, and I always cry. But like I can see something so touching, and I'm like all the time. But I can also withstand an amazing amount of pain because I know that it's just pain, and I'm willing to be honest with myself if it's an injury or whatever. But working with clients now, or working with anybody, our children, I can stand. Like all of us, we could stand back and go, I know how you feel, because I went through that. I know what you're experiencing. I know this sucks. I know you probably hate me, but I am I went through the eye of the needle. I'm standing here. I'm saying, give me your hand. I'm going to help pull you. At least do some work. Do something, and I'll get you through. And I always challenged myself when I was younger. And I think knowing, but not knowing, that I was going to need this. So, I mean, I tried every sport in the world, and I would do well. I mean, I went to Worlds and Outrigger. I was a competitive water skier. I was a competitive swimmer. Like, played water polo. Did some jiu-jitsu for a little bit. And then wanted to go to the Olympics. I'd always wanted to, and then decided I'd go for snowboard cross. So I was like, well, I'm going to try that. Plus, I want to try to go from like 0 to the Olympics in 4 years. So I hadn't snowboarded in like 7-8 years, and it was like, well, let's see how we go.
Yeah.
It's totally stupid. But, I mean, I went far, and within 2 years I was at the Olympic Training Center, and, you know, I had some sponsors and stuff like that, and I went from like 244th on the FIS list, which is like their list of points and everything, to 23rd by the second year. Still losing, and like maybe getting into like some semifinals if I was lucky, if most of the group wasn't there or something. But I mean, watching me compared to the women that rightfully were on the Olympic team or the world team was night and day, and they would just go into the pain, into the fear. They would like, you'd see their bodies just like absorb it in air, and they would just absorb it and go faster with all the fear and the pain. And that was what was holding me back, because I was scared, because I was fast, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I kept trying to push through it, because I know it was more about life than anything at that time, you know. And anytime I locked up, anytime I was fearful, I would wreck myself. I mean, I broke my tailbone 2 or 3 times, broke my fractures in my mid back, like knocked my jaw out, you know, tore some stuff in my shoulders, and it was all based on fear, thinking that, you know, like, oh, I can't do this, so you lock up. When in fact, that's the worst thing to do. Even, I mean, lifting weights, like, if you lock up, what are you supposed to do with that energy and that speed? And the same thing with life. You know, if we lock up, there's nothing flowing. There's nothing that can remind us of our strengths. And that was a big reason why we had our children at home. It was just like, I don't have the option of getting scared. I don't have the option of locking up. Like, it's on us. And our middle girl, we had it just us. We didn't have a midwife, because just based on him having to go to Cirque, and it was like in this last little time frame where we had to leave, and we didn't have the right people that I wanted. So our midwife trained us and said, okay, you guys are ready. Here's all the stuff. Here's the birthing kit. Here's everything. Here's all your plans. We knocked it all out. It's on you. And we're like, when you make that decision, you make that decision.